Lusaka. Most areas have been unplanned and the population has been growing exponentially. 2 million on 360 square kilometers is quite a lot of people. And most people are building their own homes and they're providing their own boreholes.
With people living in peri-urban areas, most of them use what we call pit latrines. And these pit latrines are dotted nearly at each and every household.
People will build septic tanks, they'll dig septic tanks into the ground, but that's the very source of their groundwater. And because we're not really sure of the quality of those septic tanks, in most cases they tend to be compromised.
The amount of water in the Kafue is finite. There's only about 11 million cubic meters of water available per year in the Kafue.
And this karst aquifer is very high yielding. It's got a lot of groundwater.
This pollution that is really affecting us as a school, we are really affected in terms of waterborne diseases such as cholera.
I think it's going to somewhere we don't want to go to. It's going to affect our health, it's going to affect our evolution, it's going to affect also the businesses.
I think the greatest challenge is lack of coordination. If we can't coordinate, then the efforts will be thin on the ground.
I mean, for one, it's really a question of balance, it's a question of dialogue, it's a question of collaborating.
Lusaka Water Security Initiative. I think in my own words, I would say that it is an embodiment of integrated water resources management principles. Because in LuWSI, you find stakeholder participation, inclusiveness of all stakeholders.
The Lusaka Water Security Initiative is a collaboration of about 21 partners drawn from the public sector, civil society, private institutions, some research organizations, and they've come together basically to try and break down a situation where we had each of these partners working in isolation.
This is bringing different partners together. It's something which is helping us even get more focused.
Ever since we joined the partnership, it has become very obvious that we're not the only players. Because of working with other stakeholders, we begin to acquire knowledge which previously we wouldn't have had, and knowledge which actually is very practical and very useful.
It's key for Sembène breweries to work with other stakeholders and with support from LuWSI to try to create the right framework. I believe there's a lot of good intentions, there's a lot of good ideas and initiatives that sometimes get diluted because they're isolated. What I see that there's a lack of coordination, collaboration between different stakeholders, and I'm talking around the government, I'm talking around the communities, the private sector, to make sure that they're sustainable. Because we don't want to have the mistakes from the past, that there's a lot of good intentions and good initiatives that get diluted through time, and they don't last, or they don't achieve the main objective that we're created for.
We can play a bigger role if we work together and ensure that the end users, especially women, are involved in the committees.
For me, I see LuWSI as a platform that brings all stakeholders together in terms of coordinating actions in water resources management.
Some of the milestones is that one, the Secretariat is now fully functional. We have a steering board that is overseeing what LuWSI is doing, which is also good.
We should not just have people at the top, but see how we can involve communities in Lusaka.
We're looking at creating awareness on issues of solid waste, issues of sanitation, and also the issue of water security itself.
LuWSI has got other partners who come in and bring in other things that Lusaka City Council doesn't necessarily have. For instance, we have people who will be mapping where all these boreholes exist, something that Lusaka City Council on its own would not have been able to do. And so LuWSI provides a platform where partners can talk to each other.
The wellfield protection project involves two wellfields, mass media wellfield as well as shaft 5 wellfield. They are providing huge volumes of water per day. So it is important that we control the manner of disposal of waste around these wellfields. And if possible, ensure that we delineate areas that will not be required to be occupied.
So by working with partners, ideas started to come in that can be developed into a green area. So it becomes a multi-purpose facility for everybody to enjoy. Lusaka Water Storage Company, we are benefiting from its protection. The communities are also benefiting from its use for social activities. The business community will also benefit by using it.
Only when we sit on the table and co-create solutions, it will be an enabler, so to speak, for us to jointly gravitate towards a common outcome. And you can't shift things without a critical mass.
The greatest difference now is the coordination and collaboration. Because previously each partner would go about the activities, maybe like working in their own silo.
Before that, there wasn't any platform that brought people together. But most importantly, it's the forward-lookingness of LuWSI. They're not talking about water security for now or for the next 100 days. They're talking about water security for the next 50 years.
I would say that if we do the approach of business as usual, we will have a very unusual situation. So I would say to every single entity, let's move in together and ensure that the threat, which is very real to water security in Lusaka, is actually addressed and addressed adequately.
I wish to have or to see our children living in a space where they don't look at those risks and not pay for what we have caused. They deserve our action and our immediate action, honestly.
Because everyone is affected. The private sector is affected. The public sector is affected. And every person, as long as we are in Lusaka, we are very much affected.
So it's important that we join hands, we join brains, we join heads or legs and, implement.